Welcome back, my dudes. Today's topic of discussion:
young men in liminal spaces.
I'm Iron Ons. I've been on Red Pill Hard Mode for almost 20 years, and I'm unapologetically here to help men. Young men in modern times have the hardest go at it. It was hard when I was a young man. I remember, you don't quite have the status of the older men. You're basically invisible to the opposite sex. And as a young man, you kind of exist in a liminal space. Anywhere from like 15 till about 25. You're kind of in the in-between zone. You don't really fit in with the older guys, and perhaps you've been raised by a single mom, so it's a bit intimidating to begin with. If you're new to that term, liminal space, I'll break it down a little bit for you. Liminal is from the Latin for threshold. And essentially what it is imagine yourself in a conference room with no people in it. Imagine a water park, but it's in the winter time. Imagine a hotel lobby that's empty. It's kind of a creepy vibe, you know? It just feels off, not right. There's no life. It's kind of like the Langoliers movie when everybody's gone and there's no sound. Essentially, it's a space where you're kind of waiting for the next thing to happen. It's an in-between zone. And a young man growing up, if he's not separated from his mom at the age of 8 and taken under the wing of an Iron Hans, of an elder, he has an especially hard time transitioning from boyhood to manhood. And he can kind of exist in this perpetual state of liminalness. And liminal spaces have a very high rate of depression. So if you know of a friend or a loved one who's in one of these states, maybe they just got through a divorce, maybe the wife is pregnant and hasn't given birth yet. These are all very high, anxious states of being because you're essentially in an empty hallway. You don't know where the next door is going to take you. So it's really important in times like this where you check in and just make sure the dude's all right, you know? It can be kind of like a state like you're going to move in a month. And so you don't want to make new friends. You're just kind of anxiously waiting for life to happen to you. Young men really struggle with where they fit in because you're kind of in between. You're kind of lunky. To be honest, young men are a liability. I own a service-based business, and when you got young guys working for you, you constantly got to have your head on a swivel, and you got to be watching them like a hawk. Especially in a dangerous field like that I am working in. They can get themselves killed pretty easily, and they're always trying to. It's a state where you essentially have enough skill to really get yourself in trouble. That's kind of the best way to look at it. It's knowledge without wisdom. Knowledge without wisdom is very dangerous because you're really capable of getting yourself into some pretty terrible spots. So essentially, it's kind of a funny thing because at the age where you have your hormones going the craziest, and you're the biggest lunk, you're the most capable at the same time. So the older dudes kind of look at you as a liability. And they know that in order to achieve progress, they have to put their head down and work and kind of ignore you. If they want to take the time that it really truly takes to invest in you, it's going to slow down production. And you cannot have that in the modern world. You can't slow down production. You've got quarterly profits to make. Nobody has time to slow down and teach the next generation. From my point of view, it is a good end game to invest time in young men. Sure, it's going to take you a few more minutes to get the project done, but it's an accumulation effort. You keep investing in this person, and eventually it's going to pay back in dividends. Now you can kind of take more of a hands-off approach and just kind of let them take it over. But you're not going to convince some corporation that that's the right way to do it. They're just more invested in churn. They'd rather get a new body in there, throw out someone when they're used up, and just get another body in there. It's kind of a cool trick because when you're at your peak hormonally, your hormones are just going nuts when you're a young man. And that's also the time when you're the most invisible to women. Because, like we say 1,000 times, and it's getting more popular now, I'm starting to see it become more of a mainstream topic of hypergamy. And so you know that women date across and up on the socioeconomic standard, and men date across and down. So essentially what that boils into is that pretty much all the girls are all scrambling trying to get the attention of the top men. And this has become a problem since the Dark Ages. Any time in history where you have the top men getting all the women and the bottom serf class completely invisible to women, that's when you start to see revolutions happen. Just take a brief look into history and it's doomed to repeat itself apparently. But the problem is young men don't have the resources that women are looking for. And I don't make prescriptions for women because they never listen. But if I did, I would tell women to do like my wife did. She rolled the dice on me. I mean, I was a young man. I had my own car, and I had my own apartment, and I had a job. But to nowadays standards, that's almost impossible. You look at the average car nowadays, we're talking 70 grand. For a used car, it costs about $500 a month. The average studio apartment is over $2,000. I got my first apartment for about $450. It was a studio apartment, but I had my own car. I had my own apartment. I had a decent job. But a lot of what really propelled me forward was I had a lot of game, to be honest. I was raised a fat kid, and so I had to use humor quite a bit to diffuse situations. I also look very Caucasian, but I'm mostly Native American. And so I was raised on a reservation. And that caused a lot of problems because I look Caucasian. So I would use humor quite a bit to diffuse a lot of situations. I learned real quick the burden of performance, because the problem is that as a young dude, you start to try to date these girls and you notice they're all going for the same type. They all want the older men. Me and my best friend, we'd go to the skate shop and we'd try to rizz up these girls. And they would tell us stories about how they were sleeping with married men, both of them. And me and my buddy were just like talking to each other in the car ride home and like, dude, we don't have a chance. They want married men. What the hell? Sure, they were real cute, but they were succubus. And you know that most likely they are probably coming up with some scheme on how to get theirs out of that situation. So now I think it's time to talk about some of the solutions to the problem. If you're in a liminal space, the best thing to do is to be proactive. The number one thing that always works to fight off depression is going to the gym. It's not therapy. Don't listen to what the world tells everybody. Everybody's got the pill. Everybody's got the right thing to just cure you instantly. It's not going to work that way. It takes hard work and dedication. And working out is the best way to do that. By any means necessary, you've got to get out and get a workout in. Even if it's just jogging, if it's running, if it's just doing push-ups and pull-ups, go into a park to do your pull-ups. When I was young, I was living in a Pontiac Firebird for almost 2 months while I saved up enough to make the deposit on my first apartment. I remember this. I'd get up, I'd go to work. After work, I'd get a good workout in, and then I'd take a shower, and then I would find some way to kill the time and sleep in my car. The best thing for a young man is just to stay busy. You've got to learn how to transmute. The best thing for a young man to do is to learn ways to transfer that sexual energy and put it into good use. Men have the burden of performance. We're born with it. Nothing you can do to change that. No one loves you for who you are. Your mother is the only person who will ever love you for who you are. That goes for girls too. Your dad is the only person who's going to love you for who you are. So, for a young man, you're going to have to earn it. If you want to be in a relationship, you're going to have to earn it. Essentially, I think that this is why a lot of young men have just checked out of the dating scene right now. Because it's not really worth it. I think it was hoe math that came up with the hoflation, but it is so true. Chivalry has ruined the West for young men. We've got it all backwards in this country. You go to a place like Japan, and they're still kind of keeping the traditional values. It's Schrodinger's feminist. The women want you to be a beta cuck, but also want you to have traditional values. Make it make sense. So I can understand why men are just saying, no, I'd rather just play my games. But I think that the true thing to do is to put your head down and get to work and building your kingdom. If you build it, they will come. And even if they don't come, at least now you're in a better spot where you can travel abroad, maybe, get a passport, and find a more traditional girl somewhere else. And it's never been easier to be kind of that top tier guy. There is more millionaires out there than men with six packs. Society likes to tell men a lot of comforting lies.
Be yourself. Chase your dreams. Do what you love and you'll never do work in your entire life.
Well, all of that is bullshit. And mostly comes from single moms. Men understand that they need to teach their boys that sometimes you just have to work. Sometimes you just take the job. Doesn't matter what job, you just take a job. And it's interesting, it's kind of the same like with girls. It's like, once you have a job, it's easier to get another job. I don't know if it's selection confirmation for like other employers or something like that. Like nobody wants to hire you unless you're already hired kind of thing. Don't be so scared. There's an abundance out there. Every day, there's thousands of girls that turn 18. So if one starts not acting right, then just move on to the next one. You know what I mean? And my prescription for dudes is just don't even date. You know, it's a waste of time and it's a waste of resources. Pick up Aaron Clary's book of numbers. That will really take the blinders off and show you how much of an epic, catastrophic, freaking waste of time and money that chase and tail is. I know that sucks to hear when you're a young man and your hormones are through the roof, but it's really true. Your time would be much better spent in a career or in the pursuit of a hobby. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're a young dude and your hormones are going crazy, you got to learn how to transmute that. You got to learn how to take that energy and learn how to transform it into desire for something else. Each time you feel like jerking your gherkin, take a beat and think to yourself, why do I feel like I want to do this right now? If you just take a few minutes and think about it, you can get some post-nut clarity before the nut. Young men are also being attacked by the corn industry. It is such an epic waste of time and generally an epic waste of your energy to put it in that direction. If you're in a liminal space right now, the best thing you can do is reach out for brotherhood and camaraderie. I played semi-pro paintball for years, and you'll never find a closer knit group of dudes than when you do a high impact sport like that together, or like rugby. Rugby's another really good one. Any team sport is really good for that. Join the men's group, link down below. Each month we're making a private video. There's a group chat in there. We're trying to build a switched on group of men. Iron will sharpen iron, and we can ask each other questions, hold each other accountable. All for the price of a McDonald's hamburger. Let me know what you think. What do you think is the biggest problem that's affecting young men nowadays? Comment it below. I really do think that the only way that we're going to turn this around is if the boomers and the older dudes start being more proactive about asking tougher questions to the younger guys. Not in a gay fight club kind of way, but just letting them know that they're not alone. Sometimes just having someone that you can bounce your ideas off of makes all the difference in the world. And you'd be surprised how quick dudes open up when you start asking the real questions. Not the, hey, how was your weekend kind of stuff, but more like the, hey, how's your relationship with your wife? Is there anything you're struggling with? In the men's group link below, one of the things we do is a monthly check-in where you put in what you're working on and what your goals are. That way we can help each other get to be accountable. It's owning your own shit. The saddest part about how the modern world has affected young men is that you can tell that they've just given up. They've just checked out. And that's a real dangerous place for society to be. And the world has given them a lot of things to pacify themselves. I believe that they are just distractions to keep you pacified. It's the bread and circuses. You've got the sports ball. You've got the video games. You've got the corn. You've got AI girlfriends. All those things are distractions, I believe, and a way just to pacify men into becoming something great. I think the stem of the problem was post-World War II. All the good men went off and fought in wars and died. Then you had all the beta bills and the cubicle Carls who were stuck at home, who just bent the knee to the feminine imperative. They threw the dudes under the bus. If this video was helpful, like and subscribe. And until next time.
I feel secure in my relationship.
You are made of